because first they determine which matter is substantive and which is not. So they get veto there. If they determine something as substantive, so it becomes substantive, no dispute there. And then after passing of substantive matter, the P5 must be present. So they enjoy two vetoes. And first time to decide what is the substantive, what is procedural, and second time to pass the matter. This is the problem that is becoming that United Nations has been called by a lot of people as a failed organization. This, as we can see, current crisis, Ukraine war. The Ukraine war is going on and there's still nothing to be done there because Russia is a permanent member. So even if there is a resolution against Russia in United Nations, it will not pass. So the powers of the United Nations Security Council, which is the most powerful body in the entire UN setup, because it enjoys powers under Chapter 6 and Chapter 7. Chapter 6 might enjoy peaceful powers in which it can basically negotiate, mediate, and whatever it wants. Chapter 7 में there are two kind of power, particularly the punitive powers. Punitive में it can carry out any kind of embargo or sanction. Economic sanction, military sanction, a trade sanction, whichever it wants. If under chapter 2 there is article 42 which says if sorry, under chapter 7 there is article 42 which says if the United Nations believe that none of the peaceful and the punitive measures are likely to work, then it can take coercive action. Coercive action means action using armed forces, that is army, air force, navy, whatever may be the case. So from this we can understand that the only substantive power, only organ with teeth to bite, or whatever you can call it, is United Nations Security Council. India is looking for a membership of UNSC. India want that I shall get the membership of UNSC. I told you India's membership mein India has formed a group known as G4 plus 2. G4 is the grouping of 4 countries, including India, Germany, Japan, and Brazil. So these are the 4 countries plus 2. Plus 2 means any 2 African country, most likely South Africa and Ethiopia. But nonetheless, the problem we are having is for every proposal there is a counter proposal. जैसे इसके अगेंस्ट प्रपोजल क्या है G4+2 के अगेंस्ट a coffee group created by Pakistan, which is arguing for uniting for consensus. That any expansion of United Nations Security Council must not be by majority of the United Nations members, but by all the members agreeing to the proposal. अब इट्स अ नाइस आइडिया क्योंकि ऐसा कभी होना तो है नहीं, सीधी सी बात ये है, ठीक है, इट इज नॉट फीजिबल एनीवे. तो देयर वाज अ सेक्रेटरी जनरल ऑफ यूनाइटेड नेशन नोन एज कोफी अन्नान. तो कोफी अन्नान गेव अ प्रपोजल कि दो उसने आइडिया दिए. Kofi Annan gave a proposal. There were two ideas. He said we can adopt any one of them. So there are two formulas, reform formula A, reform formula B. Let's see both of them. Under reform formula, he argued that from current strength of 15, take it to 24. Means 15 plus 9 new members. 15 plus 9 new members and will become 24. 15 plus 9 new members. अब 9 new members में these 9 members will have no veto. And there will be two types in these 9 members. There will be 6 permanent members and 3 non-permanent members. So this is formula A, in which we can expand the United Nations Security Council to include from 15 we shall take it to 24. It means 9 new members shall be there. Out of 9 new members, there should be 6 permanent members and 3 non-permanent, but none of them will enjoy veto power. Formula B talks about veto power. In this, again, the membership will be taken from 15 to 24. But the difference here is basically you will add plus 9. But out of these 9 members, it will be divided in the form of 8 semi-permanent. and one new temporary member. So this is the formula. If you take Formula A में you will have 15 plus 9 member, 9 member without veto powers, in which 6 will be permanent, 3 will be non-permanent. Here you will get 9 new members, but 8 will be semi-permanent and 1 will be temporary. What is the semi-permanent? Semi-permanent means for a tenure of 4 years. और temporary तो आपको पता है, temporary यानी कि non-permanent. So these are two formulas where discussion debate is going on, but as I have told you in the earlier class itself, it is not likely to happen until unless some major disaster happens within the United Nations. The chances that India will get it, the chances that India will get a permanent membership is virtually zero. क्योंकि सीधी सी बात है, कोई चाहता नहीं, कोई मतलब कोई भी. Even though US says I want India as a permanent member, UK, France has no problem. Russia does not say it very loud. But everyone knows that China is a bit inclined. So today, अगर आप देखें, so there is a coalition grouping going on. India is a member with Quad. Quad is a coalition kind of security cooperation between India, US, Japan, and Australia against China versus China, Russia, and Pakistan. So this is the present axis. China, Pakistan, and Russia are on the one side, and the Quad members are on the other side. So the chances that they will agree to India's membership is virtually zero because Pakistan will be angry and China will not make Pakistan angry. That's the thing we have. ठीक है, तो that is what we have. तो finally, अब इससे एक बात तो हमें समझ में आ गई that United Nations prime purpose of security was failing. कोशिश बहुत करी बट काम नहीं कर रही. We have seen numerous example. Recent में अगर देखना हो तो Ukraine war is there and Hamas war is there and UNSC is more or less dead body. काम ही नहीं कर पा रही because veto powers are interfering with the procedure. तो एक suggestion है, rather than giving veto power to anyone, rather than improving membership to 9, 12, जो करना है doesn't matter. What we should do is there should be no permanent members. All members should be temporary. All members may be elected for example 4-year term, जैसे हमारा world governments में होता है. The way you have government, India में you have a 5-year tenure of the government, US में you have a 4-year tenure of the government. तो इसी तरह से what we can do is that all the members of the UNSC shall be chosen every 4th year by all the members within themselves, whosoever is willing to fight for the election procedure, and none of them shall enjoy any veto power. There should be no substantive matter. There should be all matters shall be treated procedural, and the voting pattern should be always 9 to 15. और ज़्यादा हो तो 10 to 15 कर दो, लेकिन without vetoes, take veto away from everyone, then we may have a better world. Then maybe. हो भी सकता नहीं भी, but as I told you, humanity has a problem. We learn from disasters. जब तक हमें ठोकर नहीं लगती है, मैं कल नहीं आती, वो वाला लॉजिक है. तो it took World War I for League of Nations, it took World War II for United Nations, and who knows, we have improved. I told you number of times, we have improved a lot. League of Nations had a lot of weaknesses which we improved in UN. UN has some weaknesses left, particularly the veto power and no standing military of its own. So ये तो प्रॉब्लम जो इसके साथ है, that can be reformed, but I hope humanity will not wait for another world war or maybe a major war. तो उसके बाद वो करेंगे, पर देखते हैं जब भी होगा तो we will know that. But don't worry, in our lifetime I don't see it is happening, but कोई बात नहीं, देखते हैं. Fine है. So the prime role of United Nations was peace and security, and it was failing beautifully. It has been failing its effort beautifully very much. It is doing all the things which is right, except peace and security. इसके अलावा इसका रिकॉर्ड बहुत ही बढ़िया है. इन कल्चरल डायमेंशन, इन इकोलॉजिकल डायमेंशन, इन एवरी डायमेंशन यू विल फाइंड यूनाइटेड नेशन. आप कुछ कोई भी सब्जेक्ट पढ़ेंगे, यूएन के मेंशन के बिना वो सब्जेक्ट खत्म ही नहीं होता. But peace and security is a parameter. So that's the irony here. It was created for peace and security, and that is not working. बाकी सारे चीजों में अच्छा काम कर रहा है. So, for example, you were raised by your parents for something. You are not doing good in that, but you're doing good in every other field except the field your parents want. तो वही कहानी यहाँ पे हो गई है, पर क्या कर सकते हैं. So इसके लिए एक solution निकाला गया. That is what we call United Nations peacekeeping forces. Dag Hammer S.K. Jolt. He was the Secretary General of United Nations. He interpreted the word peace and security. He said, we may not have aggressive forces, but we can have passive forces. So there was a liberal, देखिए UNPK is not mentioned in the Charter of United Nations, कहीं mention नहीं है, but it was based on the liberal interpretation of the Charter. So what is the role of UNPK? UNPK का simple सा देखिए क्या role होता है. Let's say there is a crisis. There are country A and B which are fighting over something and they initiate a war. In that scenario, United Nations Security Council will send United Nations peacekeeping forces, the blue helmet. They wear the blue helmet everywhere to these countries. So UNPK will be sent to A and B country to maintain neutrality and to maintain peace. That's why the name is United Nations Peacekeeping Forces. These are they do not have the mandate to carry out aggressive war under Chapter 7 or Article 42. The only role they play is mediation. The only role they play is maintaining the status quo. Till the time they will maintain the peace, till the time United Nations Security Council take a decision about what to be done. So what is UNPK? UNPK is a liberal interpretation of UN Charter under which it can be appointed to a conflict zone to basically maintain the peace, to basically maintain the status quo till the time United Nations Security Council comes to a conclusion कि आखिर करना क्या है. ठीक है, that is the and it started a very long time ago. बहुत ऑपरेशंस है, इंडिया में भी काफी ऑपरेशंस रहे हैं. ठीक है, एनीवे सो लेट्स सी द थ्री पिलर्स ऑफ यूएनपीके. अब यूएनपीके के तीन पिलर्स क्या हैं, देन वी विल अंडरस्टैंड द प्रॉब्लम्स विद यूएनपीके. पिलर नंबर 1, the three pillars of UNPK. First one is consent of the parties. That the parties shall express their consent. Next, use of force only in self-defense. Last, observe neutrality. मतलब they will not take sides. और मैंने आपको कई बार बताया भी है, वॉर क्या है. वॉर इज नथिंग बट big people sitting in big chambers deciding the fate of the common people to die. That is nothing more than war. अगर आप पूरी हिस्ट्री उठाएंगे तो you will find war, 99% of war were avoidable. They were fought just because there was a leader in power who has such a large ego, who thought that having a war is better than peace. War, ज्यादातर केस में वॉर की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती है, पर क्या करें, द पीपल इन पावर दे आर टू मच डिस्कनेक्टेड विद द कॉमन पीपल. उनकी लाइफ उनके लिए कुछ नहीं है. एग्जाम्पल, रिसेंट हमास वॉर प्राइम एग्जाम्पल बनता है कि कैसे वॉर बनाई जाती है, जो होती नहीं पर बनाई कैसे जाती है. एंड हाउ द कॉमन पीपल्स लाइफ वर्थ नथिंग for the people sitting in big chambers, big bungalows, big presidential palaces, deciding the fate of everyone. Hamas war, we know what happened is Hamas is a place, Israel, there is a place called Gaza Strip near on. There's a place called Gaza Strip bordering Egypt. So Gaza Strip is bordering Egypt. There is a organization called Hamas which basically control Hamas. हम इसे करेंगे Middle East में डिटेल में. So Hamas rose as a reaction for the failure of the leadership of Gaza. Palestine में जो leadership थी, there are two part. The Gaza Strip, which is a small part on the western part, bordering the Mediterranean Sea, and the West Bank. These are two places left after the creation of Israel. They were ruled by a Palestinian organization known as Palestinian Liberation Organization. और मैंने आपको एक चीज हमेशा समझाई है that somebody's terrorist is always somebody's patriot. Doesn't matter the case. It's a PLO, Palestine Liberation Organization. It has been considered as a patriotic organization by India forever. It is considered by West as a terrorist organization because they carry out suicide bombing, act of killing people, जो भी ड्रामे करते हैं वो. पर हमारी आईज में PLO was never a terrorist organization. We consider PLO as a natural reaction by an oppressive force that what that started since the time of Gandhi himself. ठीक है, गांधी के टाइम से फिलोसफी चली आ रही है, हम फॉलो कर रहे हैं. Anyway, so for us, PLO, which is killing Israeli and other people, is not a terrorist organization, but for the Israel, of course, it is a terrorist organization. So that's always very same. Balochistan is a place in Pakistan. There's a Balochistan Liberation Organization. Basically, Balochistan independence freedom movement is going on. So for us, the Balochistan Liberation Organization is not a terrorist organization. For in the eyes of Pakistan, it is, because they are fighting against Pakistan government. So हमारे लिए वो terrorist नहीं है. And we often raise their concern in world platforms. The same way, Pakistan के लिए the people are fighting in Jammu Kashmir are not terrorists. हमारे लिए वो terrorist है. So it all depends. You can pick entire any organization in the world, so-called terrorist organization, and you will always find that they are patriot for somebody and terrorist for somebody. सीधी सी बात है. If they are fighting for against me, they are terrorist for me. They are fighting for you, they are patriot for you. That's how the world works. Let's say the Hamas example. So Hamas is basically a terrorist organization in the world, in the view of the West, and India also considered the same way, but कहता नहीं है पर मानता है. In that scenario, so Hamas launched attack on Israel. अब आपको, and then Israel is replying back, and this Hamas Israel war started. अब आपको लगेगा ठीक है भाई, हमास इजराइल वॉर चल रहा है तो गलती करी हमास ने. हमास फायर thousands of rocket on Israel, तो it must be punished. पहला नंबर तो if it is punished or not, it should be United Nations Security Council, not the Israel to decide. पहली चीज. दूसरी चीज, देखिए, this war was not started for any reason but politics. What was the politics behind it? Saudi Arabia is the cradle of Islamic civilization, the place their Mecca is. And Saudi Arabia never loved Israel, because Israel, Judaism, and Islam are fighting since centuries. Judaism, Christianity, ये तीनों आपस में लड़े ही जा रहे हैं. ये तीन ऐसे बच्चे हैं, Abrahamic religion. They're fighting with each other. Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, they're fighting since antiquity, and all three are basically the same. They all have come from each other. जैसे हिंदुइज्म से निकला है आपका सिखिज्म, जैनिज्म, बुद्धिज्म. Same way they have came from each other, and they have largely a large number of tenets are same in all of them. But yet they are fighting. They are like the kids who are not living together वाली बात है. अब as soon as Israel was created, the Muslim people believe in something called Muslim Ummah. Muslim Ummah का मतलब होता है Islamic State, because Muslim Islam believes that there is no territorial nations. मैंने आपको समझाया था, the birth of territorial nations was in Treaty of Westphalia 1648. इस्लाम उसमें बिलीव नहीं करता, और करेगा भी कैसे? Islam is a 7th century religion. And if you expect a 7th century religion to believe in modern 17th century concept, हो ही नहीं सकता. 7th century की जो बुक है उसमें 17th century की वैल्यू कहां से आ सकती है? As I told you, value evolve over time. जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल, अगर आज इस्लाम की फाउंडेशन रखी जाती, लेट्स से मोहम्मद इज बोर्न टुडे एंड ही फाउंड इस्लाम टुडे, तो would they mention mobile phone, internet, digital media in Quran? Of course they would have. बिल्कुल मेंशन होता अगर कुरान आज लिखी जाती. सेम वे बाइबल अगर आज लिखी जाती तो उसमें भी इन चीजों के मेंशन होते. Because of course they were written in the time when it was not available. This technology was not there. तो कैसे हम उसके बारे में बात कर सकते हैं? तो इस्लाम talks about Muslim Ummah, that all Muslims are one. Why? Because it was written in 7th century. And the birth of modern territorial nation took place in 17th century. There's around 10 century gap between both the values, two values. So anyway, Islam believes in Muslim Ummah. Israel was created removing the Palestinian from their land. And of course, Muslim Ummah, बेशक आप modern nation आ चुके हैं, but Muslim Ummah तो है ही. So all Muslim country reacted because they believe all Muslims are one. They reacted, and there were numerous war between Arabs and Israelis. Recent में क्या हो रहा है? Because of impact of globalization and information technology, even the ideas of modernity are penetrating into the minds of Muslims. That is the reason the women of Iran are removing hijab, because they are under cultural subjugation of modern westernism. अब उन तक पहुंचा कैसे है वेस्टर्निज्म? थ्रू मोबाइल फोन. Mobile phone में they are watching movies, documentary series, and of course they are made in West, English speaking, and they're biased in favor of Western values. तो अब इंडिया में मान लीजिए you are a 14-year-old kid watching a Western movie. So of course, a movie made in America will be biased in favor of American values. In that movie, they will be propagating American values. And of course, the 14-year kid in India will be influenced by American values very much. Same thing is happening around the world. So the woman of Iran or koi bhi ho. That's why the modern territorial nations is becoming a common sense even in Middle East. यहाँ तक समझ में आया सबको? यहाँ तक क्लियर है? सोफा क्लियर? कौन कौन है? हरिका, कनपुरी? ठीक है, फाइन. सो अब क्या हुआ? इजराइल वाज थिंकिंग ऑफ साइनिंग अ ट्रीटी with Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, America was negotiating this and they were about to sign a treaty. If this treaty is signed, in which Saudi Arabia will recognize Israel as a country, it is a very big change in Middle East. Because as I told you, Muslim Ummah, these Arab countries have fought more than 4 wars with Israel. अगर सऊदी अरेबिया रिकॉग्नाइज कर लेता है इजराइल को, देन ईरान विल बी आइसोलेटेड इन मिडल ईस्ट, और ईरान ये नहीं चाहता. So Iran supplied weapon money to Hamas because Hamas is a Shia terrorist organization supported by Iran. Iran is Shia and Saudi Arabia is Sunni, like Pakistan is Sunni. So Iran gave weapon and technology and money to Hamas to launch an attack on Israel. अब देखिए इससे क्या गेम खेला गया. If Saudi Arabia recognize Israel, then Iran will be isolated in Middle East. Now Hamas launched attack on Israel. Because of this, now Saudi Arabia cannot sign the deal. Because even though leaders of Saudi Arabia no longer believe in Muslim Ummah, they believe in modern nationalism, but yet the people are sentimental. Common people, आपको पता है कितने sentimental होते हैं. Leaders कभी नहीं होते. It doesn't matter which leader you talk about. The best thing about the leaders is they are narcissistic sociopath. वो धर्म का दिखावा करेंगे, वो जात का दिखावा करेंगे. They do not concern about these much. हाँ, social justice के लिए they may feel strong, but largely they may basically do whatever the people like. उनका मेन गोल होता है to stay in power. अब common people of Saudi Arabia, they are still believer of Islam and Muslim उम्मा में थोड़ा believe है उनका. The government of Saudi Arabia do no longer believe in that. So government of Saudi Arabia wanted to sign a deal with Israel to recognize Israel. अब ये war हो गई. अब इस war के कारण Saudi Arabia deal sign नहीं कर पाएगा. तो सोचिए, this entire drama is happening because Iran decided that I don't want this TT to be signed. एक TT के चक्कर में millions of people are dying. And now Israel has replied back to Hamas. अब इसमें एक को कमाल देखिए, the people of Gaza Strip, they were running toward Egypt. Egypt is on the southern border of Gaza Strip. Egypt closed border. क्यों close किया border को? Because common sense था. देखिए, अगर all the people from Gaza Strip they run toward Egypt, so they will be in a safe zone. And over time क्या होगा? The Israel will occupy the Gaza Strip and the people of Gaza will become Egyptian forever. Refugee बन जाएंगे, जा नहीं पाएंगे. जैसे a large number of Tamilians came during Sri Lankan civil war in India. Large number of Rohingyas have traveled around the world, particularly Bangladesh, after the Myanmar government's action. Same thing will happen there. इजिप्ट ने क्या करा? इजिप्ट क्लोज द बॉर्डर. इजिप्ट डिड नॉट अलाउ द गाजन पीपल टू क्रॉस द बॉर्डर. इसके दो रीजन है. पहला ये, इजिप्ट डिड नॉट वांट देम टू बिकम रेफ्यूजी इन इजिप्ट. जबकि सोचे मुस्लिम उमा, तो अंडरस्टैंड, नोबडी केयर्स अबाउट मुस्लिम, नॉट इवन द मुस्लिम कंट्रीज देमसेल्फ. कोई किसी की केयर नहीं करता है यार में. दे ऑल बिलीव इन नेशनल इंटरेस्ट. इजिप्ट ने बॉर्डर क्लोज कर दिया. अब इससे फायदा क्या होगा? द पीपल, ऑल द गाजन पीपल आर इन गाजा. इजराइल बॉम्बार्डमेंट करेगा, लार्ज नंबर ऑफ गाजन्स विल डाई. इसलिए आज आपने देखा होगा ना, देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ सेइंग दैट व्हाट इजराइल इज डूइंग इज जेनोसाइड इन गाजा. तो जेनोसाइड बनेगा कैसे अगर लोग ही नहीं होंगे? तो देयर आर टू गोल्स हियर. To prevent the people from crossing the Egyptian border, Egypt had made sure that those people, the common people who have nothing to do with this war, they will remain in Gaza. Israel will keep on bombing. It will kill millions of Gazans, and ultimately it will be captured and will be circulated around the world as what? As atrocity, as genocide. अगर इजिप्ट अलाउ कर देता उन लोगों को तो उनकी जान बच जाती, पर नहीं, अगर उनकी जान बच जाएगी तो न्यूज कैसे बनेगा? If Gazans will not die, then how would I capture the event and how would I spread around the world? Look, Israel is committing a genocide. Israel रुक नहीं सकता because Israeli Prime Minister has lost confidence of the Israeli people, or to gain the confidence, he will become a mass murderer. So everyone is playing politics there. Everyone is trying to secure their power, and in the process, who is dying? The poor innocent of Gaza people. This is the nature of wars. None of the wars are fought for any cause except political concerns. सेम रीजन साहिल, ईरान क्यों लेगा उन्हें? अगर ईरान गाजन्स को ले लेगा तो फिर न्यूज कैसे बनेगी? आप समझ नहीं रहे ना बात को। अगर गाजन्स मरेंगे नहीं, इजराइल अटैक करेगा, गाजन्स की डेथ होगी, वो आजकल सब पे मोबाइल फोन है, सोशल मीडिया है, आप उसे कैप्चर करेंगे, सोशल मीडिया में पूरे मुस्लिम वर्ल्ड में वो फैलेगा, और जो एंगर होगा, जो सऊदी अरेबियंस के, जो कॉमन सऊदी अरेबियंस, उनमें भी एंगर आएगा भाई। ऑब्वियसली बात है, फॉर एग्जांपल इंडिया में होता है, if some Hindus is dying in, for example, Pakistan, for example, वो उनकी different nationality है, the people of Pakistan has a different nationality, but the Hindu right wing parties in India वो चीखना शुरू कर देती है, जबकि they are Pakistani nationals, but if they die there, then Hindu right wing will speak here. क्यों? क्योंकि हम, क्या कॉमन है हमारे बीच में? रिलीजन. If a Hindu dies in Pakistan, so it will of course lead to a reaction in India and of course political angle. Same thing is happening there. If Gazans will die in Israeli bombing, उनकी वीडियोस बनेंगी, फोटोज बनेंगी, और वो सर्कुलेट होंगी पूरे मिडिल ईस्ट में. उसके कारण क्या होगा? एंगर विल बिल्ट अप अगेंस्ट इजराइल, और यही तो ईरान चाहता है. नाउ गॉट द रीजन, क्यों लेगा ऐसे व्यक्ति को? तो सारी वॉर इसीलिए खेली जाती हैं. यूक्रेन वॉर भी हमने समझी थी, इट इज नथिंग बट अ पॉलिटिकल रीजंस. दैट्स हाउ द वर्ल्ड वर्क्स. अब मैंने आपको एग्जांपल क्यों समझाया? सो दैट यू कैन अंडरस्टैंड दिस प्रोसेस. दैट्स व्हाई यूएनपीके वाज इवॉल्व्ड, एंड द पॉइंट इज ऑब्जर्व न्यूट्रलिटी. यूएनपीके इसलिए न्यूट्रलिटी मेंटेन करते हैं क्योंकि यूएनपीके जो हमने बनाई है, हम समझते हैं ये एंगल को. इसलिए आपने देखा होगा, देयर इज समथिंग कॉल्ड डॉक्टर्स विदाउट बॉर्डर. इट्स एन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन रिकॉग्नाइज्ड एट द वर्ल्ड लेवल. रेड क्रॉस सोसाइटी वर्ल्ड लेवल पे होती है. इसका काम क्या होता है? दे गो अराउंड द वर्ल्ड, वॉर जोन में वो जाते हैं, एंड दे प्रोवाइड मेडिकल सर्विसेज. रेड क्रॉस प्रोवाइड ह्यूमैनिटेरियन सर्विसेज, एंड दे ऑब्जर्व स्ट्रिक्ट न्यूट्रलिटी. वो कभी ये नहीं बोलेंगे कि आप आतंकवादी हो, आप सेपरेटिस्ट हो, आप गवर्नमेंट हो. नो, उन्हें पता है कैसी राजनीति चल रही है, दे अंडरस्टैंड दीज काइंड ऑफ इवेंट्स. तो उनको वो कंप्लीट न्यूट्रलिटी ऑब्जर्व करते हैं. उनका सिर्फ एक ही गोल है, दे विल गो इनटू द वॉर जोन एंड दे विल प्रोवाइड मेडिकल सर्विसेज. लोगों का ट्रीटमेंट करेंगे विदाउट एनी कंडीशन ऑफ फ्लैग. जैसे अगर रेड क्रॉस सोसाइटी यूक्रेन में है भी, तो रेड क्रॉस सोसाइटी, डॉक्टर्स विदाउट बॉर्डर इन यूक्रेन, वो यूक्रेनियन सोल्जर का भी इलाज करेंगे और वो रशियन सोल्जर का भी इलाज करेंगे उसी कैंपस में. They do not care about the nationality, they do not care about the color. The reason being, उन्हें सबको पता है क्या राजनीति चल रही है. As I told you, they understand this drama of nationalism. A soldier may be excited in the name of their nationalism, they are not. They know what is happening. That's why one of the principle of UNPK is observe that. अब आते हैं इश्यूज पे. चलो ठीक है, यूएनपीके हमने बनाई है बिकॉज द पीस एंड सिक्योरिटी, द सो कॉल्ड कलेक्टिव सिक्योरिटी वाज फेलिंग, तो हमने यूएनपीके बना दी. चलो बढ़िया काम करा. अब एक प्रॉब्लम है यूएनपीके के साथ. पहला, कंसेंट ऑफ द पार्टीज. टू टेक द कंसेंट ऑफ द पार्टीज, इट इज बिकमिंग वेरी हार्ड टू एक्वायर. क्योंकि ऑब्वियसली बात है, दो वॉरिंग जोन चल रहे हैं, एक पार्टी एग्री करता है, दूसरी एग्री नहीं करती. So it is becoming day by day hard to acquire the consent of the party. दूसरा सेल्फ डिफेंस. अब सेल्फ डिफेंस में आपने बोल तो दिया, बट अ लार्ज नंबर ऑफ यूएनपी के सोल्जर्स डाइज. हालांकि पूरे दुनिया में कॉमन सेंस है, बिकॉज यूएनपी के सोल्जर्स ऑब्जर्व न्यूट्रलिटी. वो किसी साइड का साइड नहीं लेते, वो किसी के फेवर में नहीं लड़ाई करते. दे जस्ट प्रोटेक्ट पीपल. अगर दे प्रोटेक्ट कैंप्स, दे प्रोवाइड मेडिकल सर्विसेज, एंड दे अलाउ कॉमन पीपल टू कम इनटू दोस प्लेसेस irrespective of their nationality. यूक्रेनियन हो चाहे रशियन हो, यूएनपीके के नजर में दोनों सेम है. जैसे दे डू नॉट केयर अबाउट द पीपल. एनीवे, इन दैट सिनेरियो, एक प्रॉब्लम और आ रही है यूएनपीके में. There's a demand by the Western world. Western world is demanding robust UNPK. वो कह रहे हैं हमें रोबस्ट यूएनपीके चाहिए. इंडिया इज स्ट्रिक्टली अपोज टू दिस. रोबस्ट यूएनपीके का मतलब that the UNPK shall not carry only self defense. If required, they should also carry offense. इंडिया बहुत क्लियर है, ये नहीं होगा. ओके, फिर वही गेम हो जाएगा. आप यूएनपीके भेजोगे पीस के नाम पे और उससे एक तरफ एक्शन करवा लोगे. यू विल मेक यूएनपीके टू इन्फ्लुएंस पॉलिटिक्स. यू विल मेक यूएनपीके टू सपोर्ट वन साइड देन अदर. अल्टीमेटली डिजास्टर विल अगेन हैपन. और यूएनपीके की जो रेपुटेशन है दुनिया में वो खत्म हो जाएगी. अभी यूएनपीके की हाई रेपुटेशन है एंड यूएनपीके वर्क्स वर्चुअली अराउंड द वर्ल्ड इन ऑल कॉन्फ्लिक्ट वॉर जोन्स. एंड कहीं पे भी इफ देयर इज अ यूएन टैंक, यूएन कैंप, कोई इस पर अटैक नहीं करता और एनी पार्टी. और क्यों है ये? क्योंकि वो हमेशा न्यूट्रलिटी ऑब्जर्व करते हैं. दे नेवर टेक साइड्स एंड दे शुड नेवर टेक साइड बिकॉज आई टोल्ड यू ऑल साइड्स आर फाइटिंग अ पॉलिटिकल वॉर. ठीक है, तो दीज आर द थिंग. द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट इज रोबस्ट यूएनपीके की डिमांड हो रही है वेस्टर्न वर्ल्ड से. इंडिया सपोज करता है. और भी प्रॉब्लम्स है यूएनपीके में, जैसे अंडरस्टैंड वेन एवर देर इज एब्सेंस ऑफ लॉ प्रिविलेंस ऑफ पावर कम्स इन. जैसे इफ यू रिमेंबर पेपर वन में अगर आपने पढ़ा होगा और शायद हमने भी बात करी होगी, सोशल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट थियरिस्ट होते हैं हॉब्स एंड लॉक. दे हैव टॉक्ड अबाउट स्टेट ऑफ नेचर. स्टेट ऑफ नेचर इज द हाइपोथेटिकल सिनेरियो व्हेन देयर इज नो गवर्नमेंट प्रेजेंट. तो हाउ द पीपल विल बिहेव हमने करा. यस, मुझे याद आ गया, रियलिस्ट थियरी में हमने करा था. इफ यू रिमेंबर हॉब्स एंड लॉक. Hobbes, who believed that the man is self-centered, greedy, and so the state of nature means when there is no government, then the people will fight with each other. He has said the state of nature is a state of war of everyone with everyone. Because हर कोई पावर के लिए लड़ रहा है तो हर कोई लड़ता रहेगा. That is the reason realists justify a balance of power in the world affairs. Having said that, अब यूएनपीके में समझिए प्रॉब्लम क्या है. That are not very reputable, but a lot of UNPK soldiers are blamed for sexual assaults on women and children in particular. Why? Because देखिए वॉर में क्या होता है, whether we like it or not, whenever there is a war, there is virtual absence of rule of law. Jैसे there are a lot of people, there are a lot of male who would like to commit rape. They like a girl and they want to rape her. But क्यों नहीं कर पाते? I'm not saying everyone. I'm saying some people. Why? Because they fear law. उन्हें पता है अगर मैंने ऐसा किया, एक कानून है, पुलिस मुझे पकड़ेगी, ड्रामा बनेगा, मीडिया कवर करेगी, and my life will be ruined. पर मेरे से ज्यादा the life of everyone whom I care about will be ruined. Parents, spouses, kids, their life will literally be ruined. इसलिए पीपल, तो लॉ एक्ट लाइक अ डिटरेंस. अब जहां पे वॉर चल रही है वहां कैसा कानून? ऑलवेज रिमेंबर, कानून जो होता है ना, इट इज फॉर द वीक. स्ट्रॉन्ग पीपल को कानून की जरूरत नहीं होती बिकॉज दे हैव द पावर टू डू व्हाट दे वांट. वीक पीपल नीड लॉ. अब देयर इज एब्सेंस ऑफ लॉ इन वॉरफेयर्स एंड देयर कुछ भी होता है. जैसे अभी यूक्रेन वॉर में चला, देयर न्यूमरस डॉक्यूमेंट्री सेइंग दैट रशियन सोल्जर्स आर ब्लेम्ड फॉर लेस देन ह्यूमन बिहेवियर. रेप्स एंड अदर थिंग्स आर वेरी कॉमन. रवांडा में देखिए क्या हालात हुए थे. तो ये एक प्रॉब्लम है यूएनपीके के साथ. आखिर जो सोल्जर्स उसमें प्राइमरली मैन ही होते हैं, वुमन बहुत रेयर होती भी है तो सिर्फ मेडिकल रोल में होती है. सो मेजरली मैन आर प्रेजेंट एंड ऑफ कोर्स रूल ऑफ लॉ एब्सेंट है. आप मैन हो, यू सॉ अ स्मॉल गर्ल एंड यू हैव टू रेप हर, तो यू डू इट. बहुत ऐसे केस हुए हैं जहाँ पे यूएनपी के सोल्जर्स आर इन्वॉल्व इन लेस देन ह्यूमन बिहेवियर. तो उसके लिए इंडिया का सजेशन है स्ट्रिक्ट पेनल्टीज. इंडिया क्लियरली सजेस्ट that irrespective of the nationality, because UNPK में क्या होता है, सारे नेशन कंट्रीब्यूट करते हैं अपने सोल्जर्स को. तो इंडिया सजेस्ट irrespective of their nationality, if any soldier is found to be violating human rights, particularly kids and women, they must be punished with strictness. अब एक छोटा सा प्रॉब्लम है इसमें. नो कंट्री वांट दैट. जैसे अगर मैं आपसे पूछूं, whosoever Russian soldiers who may be committing some rape and genocide there, do you think when the war will get over, those Russian soldiers will be punished by the Russian government or they will be given war awards, gallantry awards? क्या लगता है आपको, रशियन सोल्जर्स को पनिश करेगी रशियन सरकार आफ्टर द वॉर और यूक्रेन गवर्नमेंट? What do you think, online people? Would the Russian government punish them after the war? Sad reality. Because I want a trigger happy soldier. अगर मैंने उसे पनिश कर दिया तो अगली बार क्या होगा? When the new war will start, कभी भी, कभी ना कभी तो होगी, when it will start, तो सोल्जर डरने लग जाएंगे। वो कहेंगे यार हम नहीं करेंगे कुछ भी, और ना हम वॉर में भी कोई एफर्ट भी नहीं लगाएंगे। यार इनका तो कुछ नहीं है, पहले ऑर्डर देते हैं फिर बाद में पीछे हट जाते हैं। कई बार these tools are used to basically साइकोलॉजिकल वॉरफेयर। वॉरफेयर केवल वेपन से नहीं लड़ी जाती, और भी तरीके होते हैं, उसमें साइकोलॉजिकल वॉरफेयर होता है टू पनिश द टारगेट पॉपुलेशन। उनका मॉरल ब्रेक करने के लिए कई बार इवेंट किए जाते हैं। जैसे जैसा आपका बांग्लादेश में पाकिस्तानी आर्मी ने किया था। पाकिस्तानी आर्मी डिड द सेम विद द बांग्लादेशी पीपल, पर्टिकुलरली। Am I audible, online people? There was a disconnection of the internet. ठीक है, फाइन है। ठीक है, तो इशू समझ में आया। दो इशू है यूएनपीके के साथ। एक तो प्रॉब्लम है द वे सम यूएनपीके सोल्जर्स आर अक्यूज ऑफ द क्राइम्स, एंड सेकंड इज रोबस्ट यूएनपीके, द डिमांड ऑफ द वेस्टर्न कंट्रीज टू हैव अ रोबस्ट यूएनपीके व्हिच इंडिया अपोज। तो ये सब चल रहा है। चलिए, फाइन है। सो दिस इज व्हाट वी हैव अबाउट यूएनपीके। अब आते हैं अगले इशू पे। एक प्रॉब्लम आ गया यूएन के साथ, पर्टिकुलरली इन द पोस्ट कोल्ड वॉर वर्ल्ड। Because before Cold War, majority of the events were related to interstate conflicts, और United Nations जो है, it is based on the concept of Treaty of Westphalia. It assumes that nations are sovereign internally. So United Nations organization, हाँ एक सेकंड साहब। Now is it visible, everyone? ठीक है। So UN is based on the principle of Treaty of Westphalia. Means it believes that nations are sovereign entity, particularly internally. How we know this? Article 2. This is talked about by Article 2. Article 2 of the UN Charter clearly says that all nation states are sovereign. एक second. Yes. Article 2 clause 7 है आपका। Article 2 clause 7. Article 2 clause 7 believes that all nation states are sovereign. The Treaty of Westphalia, और मैं आपको हमेशा समझाता हूं, that values changes over time. ठीक है? Of course you cannot expect a institution of 1945 to have a value of 2024. हमेशा वैल्यूज चेंज करते हैं। दैट्स व्हाई जनरेशन शिफ्ट हैपेंस। दैट्स व्हाई वी हैव अंडरस्टूड द राइज राइट विंग ऑल ड्रामा क्यों हो रहा है। द जनरेशन शिफ्ट between the current generation and the elderly one. Elderly one believer of collective living embedded in Indian ethos. The current generation living in Western individual morality impacted by social media, globalization and all. तो same यहाँ पे this organization was created in 1945. Even though we adopted collective security, but yet one thing was a common sense in 1945, that UN shall not intervene in internal affairs. Means it shall only regulate interstate affairs. It will not regulate intrastate affairs. So if India and Pakistan are having a war, UN have a say. But if something is going within India, if India is fighting with Maoist insurgency in northeast, Jammu Kashmir terrorist, उसमें यूएन का रोल कुछ नहीं है. That is what internal affairs means. That with respect to internal affairs, UN will not intervene. पर एक प्रॉब्लम आ गई जिसका नाम है रवांडा. अब रवांडा में देवर टू कम्युनिटी, टुट्सी. टुट्सी आई थिंक माइनॉरिटी था. एक सेकंड, लेट मी चेक. यस, हुतू. वहां पे दो हैं, तुत्सी एंड हुतू. रवांडा अफ्रीका में, यू नो, देयर इज टू मच लॉयल्टी विद रिस्पेक्ट टू, there is too much loyalty with respect to tribes. Tribes में क्या होता है? There is too much ethnic loyalty within tribes. They are untouched by modern idea of nationalism, so they believe less in the modern territorial state. They have a very strong loving, or you can say, loyalty towards their tribe. तो वहां पे दो है, एक तो minority होगी तुत्सी and majority है हुतू. अब हुतू मेजोरिटी है तो ऑब्वियसली बात है हुतू की सरकार बनेगी. अब हुतू मेड द गवर्नमेंट एंड हुतू कैरिड आउट अ जेनोसाइड. दे किल्ड तुत्सीज. अब जेनोसाइड कोई कोई नई चीज नहीं है ह्यूमैनिटी में. ह्यूमैनिटी की हिस्ट्री भरी पड़ी है जेनोसाइड से, बहुत जेनोसाइड हुए हैं ह्यूमैनिटी में. पर ये थोड़ा बिजार था बिकॉज पहले भी जेनोसाइड हुए हैं पर उसमें रेप का इस्तेमाल नहीं होता था प्रॉपर टूल के फॉर्म में. देयर वाज नो, नॉट अ क्लियर सैंक्शन. ये रिसेंट इवेंट में हमें देखने को मिला. जैसे रेप होते थे, ऐसा नहीं था रेप नहीं होते थे, होते थे, बट एज अ टूल ऑफ जेनोसाइड नहीं होते थे कभी. एज अ टूल ऑफ जेनोसाइड इट स्टार्टेड 1971 में. पाकिस्तानी आर्मी ने बांग्लादेश में इस्तेमाल किया इसका. सेम चीज को रवांडा में हुआ. रवांडा में द वुमन वर पर्टिकुलरली मास रेप. एक एक लड़की को, देयर वाज डॉक्यूमेंट्री व्हिच आई वाज सीइंग. देयर वाज अ गर्ल हु वाज talking about her already. She was raped, सोचिए, every day she was raped by not less than 50 people, and it went for 3 years. Every day 50 people for 3 years raped her. And this is what happened. Hutu did with Tutsi. अब ये हुआ कैसे? ये हुआ बिकॉज ऑफ रवांडन रेडियो. इसलिए मैंने आपको नंबर ऑफ टाइम्स बताया, देयर इज नो थ्रेट टू इंडिया एक्सेप्ट इंडियाज मीडिया. अब रवांडन रेडियो ने क्या करा? पहले देखिए आसान नहीं था. इफ मान लेते हैं आई एम योर लीडर एंड आई एम अ हेटफुल लीडर, आई हेट माइनॉरिटी. इफ आई वांट टू रेडिकलाइज यू, तो उसके लिए मुझे आपके घर जाना पड़ेगा, आपको समझाना पड़ेगा. एंड यू विल सी आई एम योर लीडर, तो आप कहेंगे ये तो नेता है, बोलता है. But now imagine a scenario as happening in India and around the world right now. If you get a forward from your parents on WhatsApp, टेक्नोलॉजी आ गई है. फेक न्यूज, एक बहुत ही फेक न्यूज जिसमें मान लेते हैं सम माइनॉरिटी, सम क्रिश्चियन, एक क्रिश्चियन लड़का है, ही इज सेइंग वेरी मीनिंग डिमीनिंग थिंग टुवर्ड्स हिंदूज और हिंदू गॉड्स और गॉडेसेस. कुछ बहुत ही गलत बोल रहा है. चाहे वो रियल हो या ना हो, इससे कोई मतलब नहीं. if it is forwarded by your parents, your siblings, देखिए, if I as your politician forward it, तो you will doubt it. You कहेंगे ये तो नेता है, झूठी बोलता है. But if your parents forwards it, if your spouse forwards it, if your friends forward it, तो आपके पास कोई रीजन नहीं है बिलीव करने का कि ये फेक होगी. Because the person it is coming from is a trusted source. अब चाहे वो न्यूज फेक है, इससे मतलब नहीं. You will see that video, और ऐसी बहुत सी वीडियो आप देखेंगे. You will over time start to believe that this community is a danger, and you will convert into a, आपको भी लग रहा होगा ना कैसे कोई किसी के साथ जेनोसाइड कर सकता है. ऐसे ही होता है. और ये जो जेनोसाइड कमिट करते हैं, ये कोई, दीज आर नॉट बैड पीपल. ऐसा नहीं है कि ये बुरे लोग हैं, अपनी रियल लाइफ में बहुत अच्छे होंगे, दे मे हेल्प पीपल. ये खुद के सेक्रीफाइस करके लोगों की मदद करते हैं. बट उनको इतना डी रेडिकलाइज कर दिया जाता है, उनको इतना ब्रेन वॉश कर दिया जाता है, एंड दे आर डिसेंसिटाइज्ड सो मच, उनके नजर में सामने वाला व्यक्ति इंसान ही नहीं है. एंड दैट इज द फोर स्टेजेस ऑफ जेनोसाइड. फर्स्ट, फाइंड अ कम्युनिटी. सेकंड, ब्लेम देम फॉर एवरीथिंग. थर्ड, डीह्यूमनाइज देम. ये सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट है. If you can dehumanize a community in the eyes of other community, फोर्थ स्टेज ऑटोमेटिक होती है जिसे बोलते हैं जेनोसाइड. तो पहले आपको एक कम्युनिटी फाइंड करनी है, दूसरा उस पर सब ब्लेम लगा दो. जैसे हिटलर ने किया था जर्मनी में. ही फाउंड ज्यूज एंड ही ब्लेम देम फॉर एवरीथिंग. कि जू की वजह से जर्मनी की इकोनॉमी बर्बाद है, जू की वजह से पॉलिटी बर्बाद है, जू की वजह से वर्ल्ड वॉर हार गए. ही ब्लेम जू फॉर एवरीथिंग. एंड obviously बात है, if I come to you and say you could not clear civil services because of some other reason than your effort, तो you like that argument, किसी को भी पसंद आएगा. We don't like to have mental agony कि हमारी वजह से कोई बुरा हुआ है. सबके साथ होता है. So in that scenario, the Germans became so insensitive कि उनकी नजर में Jew जो थे, they were no longer human. They were less than human. जैसे आप चिकन खाते वक्त इतनी परवाह नहीं करते इफ यू नॉन वेज ईटर. तो उस आपको ये नहीं कि चिकन खाते हुए आप टेंशन ले, या वेज खाते हुए आप गोभी खाते हुए ये नहीं सोचते यार मैंने एक प्लांट को मारा होगा. आप फल खाते हुए नहीं सोचते कि इसके लिए कितने पेड़ काटे हुए. आप फर्नीचर लेते हुए वक्त नहीं सोचते कि कितने पेड़ काटे हुए होंगे. पेड़ ऑल्सो हैव लाइफ. ठीक है, तो यू आर किलिंग अ लाइफ फॉर हैविंग अ टेबल बट यू डोंट फील इट बिकॉज ठीक है, बिकॉज दे आर लेस देन ह्यूमन. अंडरस्टैंड, dehumanization is very important here. That is what happened here. The Rwandan radio took the voices of Hutu militants, Hutu leaders, and dehumanized Tutsi. Okay, fine, cool. So what happened is, the simple logic here is, you often do not believe in the if something is coming from a trusted source. If anything is coming from a trusted source, you have no reason to believe it is not. The way Hitler did. There are four ways of doing a genocide. First, find a community. Second, blame them for everything. Third, dehumanize. And then come genocide, automatic genocide. The way Hitler did in Germany. He found Jew as a common community. Then he blamed Jew for everything wrong with Germany. And then the Germans became desensitized toward the Jew. Ultimately, genocide. That is what you do. Desensitization and dehumanization is very necessary. Just I took the example. For example, you have a table. जैसे यहाँ पे भी I have this podium. It is made of wood. Of course, this wood has been taken from a tree, and of course, we know tree have life. I am not very much pained by this. I am not crying over it. Why? Because I believe it is not human. It is not intelligent human beings. Same way people eat chicken, people eat mutton. They don't feel bad for a chicken. Let's imagine if chicken start to speak English. So they will stage a revolution. Ki you people were killing us for centuries. If evolution happened in chicken, I am saying this. So they do not speak our language. They may be speaking something. We do not consider them human. That's why you can eat them. You have eateries everywhere in India or anywhere in the world eating chicken, eating animals. We are also animal, but we eat other animals, and we are not pained by their sufferings. Maybe concerned, but not pained. Why? Because we do not consider them humans. They are less than human. Same thing happened here. Hutsi, using the Rwandan radio, the leaders of Hutu, using the Rwandan radio, took their radicalization to every Hutu in Rwanda. They got radicalized and they started considering Tutsi below humanity. And that's how this genocide happened. So, again, I'm repeating this. The people who commit genocide are not bad people. They're common people like you and me. Their families, they have everything. But in their eyes, the other community became so low that it is no longer human. And that's why the third stage is dehumanization. If I take an example, then I will move forward. Let's say prostitution. Don't you think the pimps who are carrying out these small girls, who are abducting them, carrying out this flesh trade, don't they have girls in their life? They don't have daughters, mothers, sisters. They have. But in their eyes, these women are less than human. They are commodity to be sold and bought. The women in their family, their life, are proper human. That's the problem. If you dehumanize something, you can treat them like anything. This is the problem that happened in Rwanda. And the UN kept on debating on this. The leaders of UN, they were kept on debating. The Article 2, Clause 7 says we shall not interfere in the internal affairs of the state. Should we interfere? Should not we interfere? And by that time, this entire genocide happened. There was such a strong criticism of United Nations कि you were made to ensure peace and security. We understand Article 2, Clause 7 of your charter says you cannot intervene in internal affairs, but it was extraordinary circumstances you must have. Then came Canadian Commission. Canadian government appointed a commission because after this genocide there was a lot of criticism of UN. Ki what you were doing, yeah, there were people getting tortured, maimed, and everything, and you were debating political angles, you were debating philosophy. Ki what do we mean by sovereignty? Ultimately, Canadian Commission gave reinterpretation of this word. It was reinterpreted. If you remember, I told you multiple times that reality is shaped by theories. Politics is nothing but perception. Reality or truth never matters. Perception is everything. If you believe in something, you have it. Even if you don't, doesn't matter. If I'm successful if in making you believe in something, you will have it. That's why dictators are very good. Remember, soft dictators we wrote. They're very good at making you dream. And when you dream, and who does not like to dream? सीधी सी बात है. So anyway, Canadian Commission was appointed, and the task it was given to reinterpret the meaning of this word. What do we mean by sovereignty? Before this Canadian Commission, we understand sovereignty means supreme power, not answerable to anyone. That was our interpretation, our understanding before this commission. This commission said sovereignty means responsibility to protect. Like, that's how reality changes. We did not amend the Charter of United Nations. We did nothing with UN Charter. But yet, we gave power to United Nations to intervene in internal affairs. How? By interpreting the word sovereignty. This commission gave this idea of R2P. What does it mean? It means the sovereignty of a nation is not its right, it is the duty or responsibility. Let me repeat again. The sovereignty of a nation is not the right of a nation, it is the duty or responsibility of that nation to protect its people. The word sovereignty meaning changed. Earlier, the sovereignty means the sovereign supreme power not answerable to anyone. Now, sovereignty means it is the responsibility of a state or a nation to protect their own people. If they are unable to protect, then it will be automatically assumed they are not sovereign. And if it is assumed you are not sovereign, then Article 2, Clause 7 does not apply. And then UN can intervene in internal affairs. Clear to everyone? R2P doctrine? बोलिए guys, clear है? Any question? Sahil, Marike, other people? Rika. Okay, fine. So we have changed the interpretation of the word sovereignty. Now it means responsibility to protect. And this doctrine given by the Canadian Commission has been accepted by the United Nations World Summit. In United Nations World Summit, it was agreed in 2005 as the part of the United Nations Charter. So now the interpretation is very simple. The interpretation is that a nation is supreme. Now the interpretation is very simple. That a nation is sovereign only when it can protect its people. If a nation is unable to protect its people or it becomes an aggressor within itself, then it will be assumed that it is not sovereign, then Article 2, Clause 7 does not apply. In that scenario, UN can legitimately interfere in internal affairs. But then, as always happened, politicization. This doctrine was politicized by US. US uses doctrine to intervene in Libya. Libya में Muammar Gaddafi was in power. US blamed Muammar Gaddafi that he is no longer, the state of Libya is no longer sovereign because the leader of the government there, Muammar Gaddafi, has become an aggressor now. He is exploiting his own population. He is committing atrocities in his own population. As R2P says, you are sovereign only when you can protect your people. If you are unable to protect them from external power or you yourself become an aggressor, both cases it will be assumed you're not sovereign, UN can intervene. So America misused this responsibility to protect doctrine and said that Libya mein Muammar Gaddafi is in power and he is an absolute dictator and he has become an aggressor over his own people. He is killing them, maiming them, torturing them. And so we can assume under R2P doctrine that Libya is no longer sovereign and we can intervene. And so American-led coalition entered into Libya through the Muammar Gaddafi out of power. I think they captured them and gave them death penalty. And after this, this doctrine was criticized a lot. So this is the problem. A good idea, बहुत अच्छा idea. R2P is a very good idea, but the way it was used in Libya by US, it led to delegitimization of R2P. Ab now, if UN even thinks of intervening in internal affairs, everyone objects. ऐसा नहीं करना चाहिए, but क्या कर सकते हैं? Anyway, so because of this US action in Libya, this doctrine got too much disreputation, and so a new commission was appointed. The new commission was Brazilian Commission. Brazil government appointed a new commission to reinterpret this word again. Reinterpret which word? This word. Brazilian commission was appointed to reinterpret the word R2P and it gave its own concept. The concept is RWP. So Canadian Commission gave the concept of responsibility to protect. It has now become responsibility while protecting. What is his responsibility while protecting? Now, this doctrine says that if a nation is unable to protect its people or become an aggressor, then it will be assumed it is no longer sovereign. And then R2P, under R2P, UN can send its armed forces inside a country for internal affairs management. While doing this, while carrying out R2P operations, the forces present will maintain some responsibilities. So RWP means responsibility while protecting. So RWP comes after R2P. So let's take an example. If something is happening in Ukraine, Ukrainian government becomes an aggressor over its people. So then the UN will mandate an R2P operation. The forces will go into Ukraine. And then while exercising R2P, they will maintain some responsibility. What is responsibility? Pehla, maintain neutrality. Dusra, strictness of action. Teesra, no human rights violation whatsoever. Fourth, every operation of R2P must be sanctioned by United Nations Security Council. Fifth, the operation should not go beyond the mandate. They should not be involved in toppling governments, forming governments. No, the operation should be only to protection. Protect the people at all cost. Do not intermingle with the political angles. Overthrow the dictators, install new dictators. No, don't do this. Only focus on protecting the people. Observe neutrality, observe human rights. Do not go beyond the mandate, and only the UN sanctioned operation shall work. That is what we call RWP. नोट्स में है, एक बार पढ़ लेना. This is what we have about UN. कोई भी क्वेश्चन हो किसी का, please ask. चलिए, it appears nobody has any question. तो रीसेंट में एक इशू है, उसे भी देख लेते, then we shall wrap our class. That is known as United Nations 1267 committee, also known as Committee on Al Qaeda and its affiliates. This is a body, or you can say committee of United Nations Security Council. इसका मतलब all 15 members decide. So all 15 members of the United Nations decide by consensus. यहाँ पे there is no veto powers and there is no majority concept. On everything happens there is by consensus. So the problem we are having is India want people like Masood Azhar and other Pakistan-based terrorists to be included in this list, known as 1267 list. If any organization or any person is put under this list, then they are declared terrorist of international concern. Means they are terrorist in the eyes of United Nations. In that scenario, if you are into that list, then it is compulsory for all the members of United Nations to arrest them, try them in court cases, freeze all assets, freeze all operations of those organizations. It's under compulsion. So that is the committee name, United Nations Security Council 1267 Committee, or the Committee on Al Qaeda and its affiliates. India want people like Masood Azhar and other Pakistan-based terrorists in the list. Let's suppose who is opposing. Guess the person. China. चाइना इज पुटिंग अ होल्ड. हालांकि रिसेंट में चाइना ने होल्ड हटा लिया था एंड मैसूद सर आई थिंक लिस्ट कर दिया गया है या somebody else. But whenever India wants anyone into this list, China, because it's a permanent member, always present, it basically denies this, because every decision of this committee is taken by consensus of 15 members, all the 15 members of United Nations Security Council. China is always present there, and on behalf of Pakistan, China denies India's efforts to get anyone into the list. So this issue is going on. So let's see what happens to this issue. If something concrete comes out of it, do update the notes. Chaliye, anyway. So this is all I have you for today. About UN is over. Next class mein we will start regional organization, the next chapter. So you go read, revise. Any question comes, we will discuss that tomorrow. I hope everything is clear to everyone. I believe so. Chaliye. So with that note, we will meet again tomorrow. Have a nice day. Bye bye. Very welcome, Harika.